Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We've got some more interesting stuff to show you today, starting out with a sunspot playing peekaboo, and one being quite stable here, despite doing a little bit of flaring. Check it out, we've got a new sunspot has formed, and then nearly vanished as quickly as it has. Getting a little lag here, I apologize for that. If you watch that area, you'll see a sunspot form and then degrade. And if you haven't been watching our channel, you may have missed it, although it's not gone yet. We'll show you the latest with that in a bit. First, let's talk about the Radioflux. It's all the way up to 91 right now. And we haven't seen those levels since 2017. So the 10.7 centimeter Radioflux for you new viewers is a measurement of the intensity of the radio output of the outer solar corona. So the sun's atmosphere puts out radio frequencies. One of those, which just happens to correlate very precisely with sunspot number, is the 10.7 centimeter Radioflux. And you can see we haven't seen a level that high since September of 2017. Keep in mind these, with the dots here, these are monthly values, and the purple is smoothed value. And let's do some HelioViewer movies. First, let me just check the life of the stream, check the chat. Please leave us a comment if you're viewing the video, whether it's live or whether it's being viewed in syndication on YouTube and BitChute. Leave us a comment regardless. And let's do some HelioViewer movies. Here is that new sunspot. It could get named. It has not been there long enough yet to be named. We've included the Earth scale here not to make you feel small and insignificant, but to show the size of the sunspot. Next, we'll look at 2781 in terms of magnetogram. Great view of that leading, well-formed sunspot, as well as the slightly less round trailing North Pole sunspot. It's good. Here's 304 angstroms. You will see a little bit of flaring here. There has been a little bit of C-class flaring. And for those of you not aware, were you aware that the likelihood of a large X-ray flare actually diminishes while facing the Earth? Well, there's a reason for it. I won't cover it in this video. Perhaps in a future cosmology segment we'll talk about it a little bit more. Stay tuned. We're more than happy to explain a plausible and valid theory as to why the Earth-facing quiet effect is a thing. Next, we're going to show you the 171 angstroms, my personal favorite. And what a great view of sunspot 2781 we've got there. I'll let it play through a second time. But believe it or not, folks, there is a plausible reason for the Earth-facing quiet effect. We've talked about it a few times on the channel. And now it's time for another edition of one of SNN's standard features, the Smash Lights. Hey! Thanks for leaving us a comment all the way from Western Europe over there in Germany. Zugas. Cheers. Or should I say, tschüss. Today's Smash Light segment, we'll talk about We'll talk about our mission. If you want to read about our mission, head to smashamash.com/forum, the official forum of the Smash News Network. Again, it's smashamash.com/forum. If you want to read about the mission, smashamash.com/forum/mission. And the mission is, 1, to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, part of the reason why we study cosmology. 2, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space, weather, and Earth effects. As certain very highly subscribed YouTube channels have suggested that they want a movement about the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, and yet they don't endorse us. They don't do collaborative videos. Obviously, that particular YouTuber is a lying phony and a fraud. Next, number 3, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, hence videos like this one. Number 4, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems. We've been growing tomatoes indoors. That's one of the solutions to problems. 5, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including the sciences listed before you. And we're not even scratching the surface of that because we are underfunded to the point where we're not doing it until we receive a little bit more recognition and payouts for our work every day, making hundreds and hundreds of objective daily space weather videos. Number 6, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon and not nonsense in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And 7, which should be a mission of all scientific endeavors, is to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. So no matter how wrong a given scientist is about whatever it is he's doing experiments and hypothesizing on and so on, that doesn't necessarily mean that their work is totally irrelevant. We don't want to see anybody fired because they're telling stuff that's not particularly the case about astrophysics. All of the data is still relevant data, even if the models of how it relates to cosmology and astrophysics do not hold up, as those subjects are being rewritten. Now, let me talk about Patreon for a minute. If you're viewing the content on YouTube, we've made hundreds and hundreds of these daily space weather videos, as well as various other playlists. And let's exclude our patrons entirely from this portion. You are freeloading our content, and we are putting the content out there to do stuff like raise awareness and increase our network and get more interesting guests on and so on, to do stuff like advance the science. And if you would like us to keep doing that, please consider becoming a patron, because this isn't free. We're doing this at massive personal risk and expense, and we're paid nearly nothing by Google Nonsense, otherwise known as Google AdSense, who pays out tens of thousands of dollars a month to complete fraudsters on YouTube. Now, I'm not going to get into the electioneering aspects of it, just the science irrelevance aspect of it. So, please consider becoming a Patreon. It's patreon.com/smAsho. It's the real source of funding for the videos. If you'd like to see them remain free and publicly visible, please consider becoming a patron. You'll also get some bonuses that I won't talk about in the video because, well, they're secret. So thanks to our patrons. Again, if you'd like to consider funding the content, it's patreon.com/smAsho. Again, our patrons are the main reason why these videos remain free and publicly visible. If you would like to increase the probability that that will continue, again, please consider funding us via the links at smAsho or as a patron. All right, enough of that. By the way, here's a little tour of smAsho. Our links are all underneath this arrow here in the upper right corner. Thanks to Smash staff. Also, please consider giving Smash staff a raise by becoming a patron, because Smash staff is paid as a percentage of our Patreon donations. Anyway, there's our social media underneath that arrow, and the links are down here to the forum and 2 different Teespring stores. By the way, the products are lovely. I own several of them. And today's featured product is the Mensa shirt. Yes. Make Earth not suck again, because it's up to you. And by the way, if America starts to suck, the rest of the Earth is going to follow it, because, well, America leads the way. Sorry to say it, it's not a displaced sense of patriotism, it's just reality. America leads the way, and if America goes down the drain, the rest of you, I wish you luck. So make Earth not suck again. It's up to you. Make America not suck again, if you're an American. Because if you've noticed, it's been sucking, and the suckage has mainly been a result of the overreach of governors. If you enjoy the content, please press like and subscribe on YouTube. Share the content on your social media as if that's going to have any effect, and press the notification bell. You might get shadow banned by associating with us, or you might even get outright banned, who knows. Frankly, I'm surprised that the channel still exists. Don't forget to check out our playlists also, such as, I don't know, the Google is a scam list. You might want to check that one out. Now, we are all over social media, and there's exclusive content on all the different social media pages, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. Now, I wanted to just take a quick moment to encourage folks to follow me on Instagram. I'm still not at 500 followers, even though I've been posting here since about 2015, at least since 2016 when I created the account. I just wanted to talk about fall streak holes. So a fall streak hole is one of these interesting formations where you see a nice round hole in a cloud. The prevailing theory on that is when cold air in a collimated form in an eddy comes down and hits this cloud, it'll crystallize a portion of this, which will cause sort of a chain reaction. And that's why you see these plumes coming out of the bottom of fall streak holes. Please don't call them hole punch clouds. They're called fall streak holes. And we saw some great cloud formations yesterday. I'm not going to show you that one close up because I'm trying to encourage you to follow me on Instagram. There's lots of exclusive content there that you won't see anyplace else, as well as on BitChute, bitchute.com/smAsho. Have you viewed our video about Let's Talk Turkey, about how alt tech is the answer? Part of the reason why we created a BitChute page is because of the rampant electioneering, censorship, fraud, abuse, and nonsense on YouTube. BitChute, one of the alt tech choices. Here's an alternative to Facebook. It's minds.com/smAsho. And there's exclusive content there as well. So go check that out. We've got a ton of pro memes over there. And I've been making original memes since 2016. If you haven't seen them, it's because I'm massively shadow banned on all of the major social media sites because big tech doesn't like my small government, lower taxes, sound money, less inflation stance on things. We're also on Gab, and I just posted to Gab about how big tech can't break the internet, but the internet can break big tech. So what do you think about that? Why don't you leave us a comment and let us know if you think big tech can break the internet. It's clear that big tech is trying to break information itself, and along with the efforts of big tech, big corporation lobbies, and indeed some government officials, you are seeing fraud, scams, and propaganda on a scale never before seen on Earth. So congratulations, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Is it going to be a Neo-Dark Age as a result of things like corporatocracies and plutocracies? Well, we're on the edge of our seat. We're also on Twitter, by the way. And shout out to Styx Hexenhammer 666. Drop me a line. I'd love to do a collabo. We are streaming live currently to twitch.tv/smAsho if you want to see the content as it comes out. Subscribe over there. We've only got 52 followers. And here ends another episode of the Smash Lights. I'm not enraged. The blue flame has nothing to do with being a Democrat. Blue flames are hotter, and the more angry I get, the hotter the flames get, and the more things they'll destroy. Now that I've gotten that out of my system, let's move on to a short cosmology segment. Oh yeah, the cosmology segments. It's a regular feature of the Smash News Network. And don't forget to check the YouTube playlists. It's youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. You'll find like 70 videos in there about cosmology segments. Now, we regularly talk about cosmic rays on the cosmology segments, since Earth's weather is actually part of cosmology. I won't get into it today. Today's featured object, we've looked it up at the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory. Yes, the Hard X-ray Transient Monitor. Today's featured object is massive radio galaxy located about a distance of 530 million light years, Galaxy 3C405.0. Now, this is the second strongest radio source in the entire sky, second only to the Sun. It is a Safer 2 galaxy, and there are the X-ray outputs from that if you want to follow your favorite transients, such as, I don't know, Sagittarius A star, the Caminga pulsar, Crab pulsar, Cygnus X3, Cygnus X1, etc., head to the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory and look it up. All you got to do is just hit Control F, and for instance, if you want to look up Sagittarius A star, type in SGR space A, and there you can see the X-ray output of Sagittarius A star, which has actually gone into a very weak state here over the past approximately 20 days. A very low output state, although over the past 5 years, it's been actually ramping up its X-ray output. Now, today's featured object, Cygnus A, the massive radio galaxy, otherwise known as 3C405. We like it so much that we've put it on a website and on a shirt. And here you can see a little bit of detail about the jets, as this has got these massive radio jets. So it's not only an active galactic nucleus, it's also the second strongest radio source in the sky, second only to the sun. And you can link to all of that from the Neil Gorell Swift Bat X-ray Observatory. And if you go to 3C405, otherwise known as Cygnus A, you can link right to that by clicking on Simbad, and it'll take you to this page. Again, there's Cygnus A, massive radio galaxy. Another reason why I find the Cygnus constellation the most interesting, and we like it so much that we've placed it on the bottom of the web page. And these are the massive radio jets emanating from the galactic core of Cygnus A. If you want to read more about it, head to the forum. There's a whole cosmology forum there. Just click on Cosmology Forum at smashamash.com/forum. And under the most is one of the most interesting forum topic threads. It's about the most objects in space. And the first one we actually showed is 3C405, massive radio galaxy, otherwise known as Cygnus A. And here ends today's cosmology segment. And part of the reason why we always throw cosmology segments in the videos, folks, is because understanding heliophysics is understanding astrophysics in many ways. So since subjects like geology are all based on solar dynamo models and gravitational accretion disks and so on, we consider cosmology to be an important physical science, no matter how silly some of the mainstream ideas about cosmology are. Let's get back to more data, since largely our studies of the sun are an effort to understand cosmology on a larger scale, and indeed on a smaller scale. Here's your real-time solar wind. And as forecasted yesterday, we saw the solar wind density drop down slightly and the solar wind speed ramp up slightly at the same time, an indication of a coronal hole high-speed wind stream. Current solar wind speed, 488 kilometers per second. Solar wind density off of its highs to 11.16 protons per cubic centimeter. KP index is at 2, and for you new viewers, that's a measurement of overall global magnetism. And here's a 4-hour heliospheric, not heliospheric, a 4-hour geospace magnetosphere movie showing the Earth on the equatorial and meridional planes, essentially from the top and from the side of the planet. And you see that increased pressure as a result of that increased solar wind speed. We do see a little bit of induction here. Now we're looking at ground geospace magnetic perturbations. And we see changes in the Earth's B field over the Canadian North Pole, over the Siberian North Pole, and over the South Geomagnetic Pole, which is out here somewhere, well off of the Antarctic continent. Please leave a comment if you have a theory as to what will happen next with the polar excursion through which you are living. By the way, congratulations on surviving a global pandemic and living in the neo-Renaissance. Fingers crossed that it doesn't turn into a neo-dark age. Here's the past 3 days of X-ray flux, and we didn't quite see an M-class flare. The likelihood of an M-class flare actually goes down as that sunspot directly faces the Earth. Again, I won't tell you why, because we're going to be making more content, lots more content. Why is that? Well, it's a secret. We'll tell you later. Next, looking at a sky chart here, I like to use in-the-sky.org. And today we're going to talk about when Cygnus rises. Yes. How long until Deneb rises over the horizon? Is Deneb responsible for cloud nucleation? What is the deal with Deneb? There we go. It rises at about 7:30 and it just skims along the horizon. There it is. There's Deneb, otherwise known as Cygnus X3, the brightest intrinsic object visible from Earth. Yes. Now the distance to it is a little bit disputed. Some people believe it's about 3,000 light years away. Other people believe it's 37,000 light years away. And it all has to do with looking down at the poloidal jet. Yes, it has a radio jet, and you're looking right down it when you look at Deneb. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where things will be in a week on November 13th. Thanksgiving is approaching. Have you canceled your Thanksgiving because you're scared of the spooky, scary COVID, which is just going to hang above our heads for the rest of eternity? Oh my goodness, I coughed on it and it went away. What's up with that? All right, next we're going to look at the top view ecliptic plane field plot, part of the National Sunspot Observatory. This is the magnetism of the heliospheric current sheet. Now, the sun is always blasting out protons. And those protons are oriented to one pole or the other, the North Pole or the South Pole. The South Pole shown here in red, North Pole shown in green. And we are in danger of a coronal mass ejection. Let me explain. A coronal mass ejection could happen at any moment. There's a massive plume of plasma. And this is part of it right here. And it's probably suspended by the sunspot. So don't be surprised to see the sunspot look like it weakens, actually, over the next period. But also don't be surprised to see a coronal mass ejection kick off. Whether it'll be Earth-facing or not is something we'll cover at a later time. Keep in mind that data is 2 hours and 3 minutes old and can suddenly change. Magnetic environments can suddenly change, that is, at any moment with little to no warning. Looks like some activity on the far side of the sun as well. And keep in mind, if a coronal mass ejection happens, the Earth could suddenly snap into the North Pole current sheet because it's waiting in the wings as a result of the behavior of Sunspot 2781. Next, looking at the B field here, the sun's B field now instead of the Earth's. And the B field is the field that goes through the magnet. In this case, the B field is a result of the interaction and overlap of the north and south poloidal fields. Everything seems to have poloidal jets, folks. The Earth, the Sun, the galaxy, other galaxies. And this is not a well understood aspect of heliophysics. We're hoping the solar orbiter will help with that. In any case, you can see some big yanks on the B field, and that's all associated with Sunspot 2781. Again, don't be surprised to see us suddenly in the North Pole current sheet, because the Earth's field force line can snap across that plasma rather suddenly, especially if it releases. Next, looking at the magnetic field force plot of just the solar corona. And it's pretty jumbled up. Keep in mind there is a bunch of plasma currently suspended in between the Earth and the Sun, and it could suddenly release. Let's talk about the Van Allen belts. It's where the electrons are located. Here's a 1-year chart. And by the way, that's solon.info. That's where we showed you the Radioflux graph earlier. It's a 1-year chart of the electron flux. And are we homing in on higher normal levels here? Who knows? We got a little bit into warning territory yesterday. And then we saw a cratering of the electron flux. No forecast from me as to whether that will be higher or lower. Let's just bear with me a minute. All that's not the right one. Anyway, we'll bring up the Noaa Forecast. We're not expecting to see high electron flux levels here. Based on the data I see, I would expect today's electron flux to remain slightly below warning levels. And this is pretty interesting here. We actually see more anomalies with lower levels of electron flux than higher levels of electron flux, an indication that lower levels of electron flux cause the Van Allen belts to be a little bit more irregular. And you can see large blobs of anomalies here over North America. Let me rock that back. You may have seen massive GPS errors. The entire East Coast, part of the Midwest, the Great Lakes region, northern Canada, as well as surprisingly accurate GPSs over South America. So in any case, this is looking at the total air column. It gives you some idea as to what the GPS errors might be like. Here's just one slice of the air column. It's the ionosphere. And it's looking a little anomalous here. Let's see what's going on. I'm seeing this for the first time, as you perhaps are. Nothing too weird going on there. A little bit weird. No further comment on that. There's the final image at 11 o'clock Universal Time. Next, we'll do an earthquake rundown. Largest of the past 24 was only a 5.3. We also see a volcanic downtick. We'll get to it in a minute. Significant deep quake here in the Aleutian Islands at a 4.5 magnitude and 120 kilometers depth. Very deep quake at Timor-Leste, nearly 600 kilometers depth. And just let me smoothly scroll up the list here. Another deep quake near Timor-Leste. It's a 5.2 at 139 kilometers. There's one at Uzbekistan. Oh, largest of the past 24 was this 5.6 near Japan. And those buildings are built pretty well at Japan. Last but not least, a deep quake came in just recently here at Colombia at 10:22 Universal Time, 4.3 magnitude at 146 kilometers. Here's your volcanic downtick, courtesy of volcanodiscovery.com. Popocatépetl exploding, 19,000 foot ash plume there. Sangay exploding, 20,000 foot ash plume there. Revenador's volcanic ash emissions have dispersed, and Sabancaya also exploding with a 24,000 foot ash plume. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Here are the jet streams. I noticed Ben Davidson hilariously said that solar activity came up and the jet stream flattened out at the same time. It must be a mystery. It makes me really question what it is he's talking about. As that regularly happens when I view his social media posts, and he says I'm psychotic in the comments section. I don't know. I have no comment other than the comments that I've already stated. There are the jet streams of the east. Here are the jet streams of the Western world, and they're certainly not flattened out by any stretch of the imagination. We've got extreme meridional jet stream flow right here, extreme meridional jet stream flow with a 180-degree bend here. And for anybody saying any different, I've got an extreme bent for you. Anyway, there's the facts and the data. Here's where we expect pressure cells to be tomorrow at noon my time. Here's where they are now. So there's the pressure change we expect over the next 24 according to the GFS forecast, courtesy windy.com. They've got a great mobile app, and I'm not paid to say that either. I'm not paid to do very much, period. Anyway, there's the pressure situation. High pressure dome making for some clear weather over Western Europe. LightningMaps.org is showing us where the lightning strikes are on the real-time lightning map. If you're German, maybe head to blitzortung.org. Blitzortung.org. Or lightningmaps.org. Either way. Convince your friends and foes that you're Thor and that you're causing the thunder and lightning, not just forecasting it. Here's the GOES lightning mapper, and we do see some pretty anomalous lightning strikes here in the Gulf of Mexico. There are no big storms associated with that. And you can see the trailing edge of those clouds. Seeing a few lightning strikes there in the Gulf of Mexico. Next, looking at the U.S. Doppler radar. But first, checking the live stream. And we are good. There is the U.S. Doppler radar map. Heavy rains over the northwest. Otherwise, not a lot to report on there. Here's what's going on in the cloud layer. We don't let darkness stop us from seeing what's going on in the cloud layer. There you have it. The low clouds have dissipated a little bit. I gotta say, there have been a plethora of low clouds over the western Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico, and we have less. So we had about 3 days of extreme low clouds, and now we have less. If you know how that relates to space weather, leave a comment and let us know. Increase your bragging rights. Here's what's going on in the water vapor. And I heard the forecast has changed. Florida could get hit. So let's zoom in on this area southwest of Cuba to give some insight into what's going on with the hurricane. And indeed, it looks like it's going to make a turn to the northeast, because this dry mass of air is providing a wall, preventing it from heading to the northwest. Anyway, some great images there for all you weather pornographers. And we've got bonus features here. So thanks again to the SMASH team. Please don't forget to share the content on your social media. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell science noobs, tell science pros. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Increase the probability that these videos will, 1, continue to exist, 2, be publicly visible, 3, be free for everybody to see, as we expect it to be a resource for certain other YouTube channels long ago. And I find the whole thing quite unjust, but that's okay, because I have a lot of different motivations for doing what I do. Anyway, thanks for flying American Smashways. I'm going to vanish and remind you to keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times. Thank you for flying American Smashways. Here are the bonus features. It's the status of the colorized magnetogram. So there's that sunspot. It still does look like a sunspot. It's still beta class. I think I see 2 umbrae there, most likely. At least 2. More importantly, here's sunspot 2781, which is quite significant. And there's quite a lot of umbral area there. That's like about 3 Earths worth of umbra. Here it is in the intensitygram. And there's that new sunspot. Actually, it looks like it's alpha class right now. No, it's still beta class, because we've got some leading umbrae and we've got some trailing umbrae. That's a beta class sunspot. If that stays around for a few more hours, that will get named sunspot 2782. Here's 2781. Probably the largest sunspot of cycle 25 so far, and it's been holding steady. Again, don't be surprised to see a ramp down of all those C-class solar flares and so on as it faces Earth. Again, perhaps we'll make another video even today about why that is. And last but not least, here's a 48-hour video of the local yellow dwarf in 94 angstroms. One of my favorites. You'll see several C-class flares emanating from sunspot 2781, as well as the birth of sunspot 2782. Leave us a comment with your forecast as to whether sunspot 2782 will get a name, or whether it will not be there for 12 hours or more. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun. Attempt to understand the physics. And while you're doing so, welcome to the neo-renaissance. May that solar wind be at your back, and that covidiousy absent from your location. All right. Here's your check. Get out of here.